Until this first watch, I had no idea so many memes had come from Mark Waters' 2004 girl power comedy, Mean Girls. I've been living in the shadow of this movie my entire life. Some of the jokes don't hold up after 18 years, but the overall morality of self-acceptance feels every bit as relevant today. And running at just over 90 minutes, the action and dialogue all move fast, thanks to some heavy editing, so it's not a complicated breakdown. The timestamps for each sequence can be found in the comment section for your viewing pleasure. Now, let's begin. We start, as always, with a focus on our protagonist, specifically their personality, their inner conflict, and their situation. Katie's voiceover explains her childhood abroad in Africa, and the culture shock of high school in America. Who is the outsider, even among the outcasts. Next, we examine where, why, and how our protagonist exists in their world, with a focus on why they don't quite fit in. Katie becomes the awkward third wheel to a pair of besties, who introduce the plastics, the bougie height of high school popularity and prestige. Then a brief event happens, one that's never happened before. It's destined to lead all the characters away from their status quo. Katie receives her first lesson in the rigid ecosystem of high school politics, which leads us to examine the effect of that something new to the status quo, specifically what's different now and what remains the same. Katie earns the attention and invite to lunch by the plastics. Then her new friends plan to expose the rotten truth of Regina George. We move along to the discovery that things are less than ideal, or else we explore how badly things are. Both scenarios are common. Katie develops a massive crush on the politically worst boy, then finds out about the strict rules and oppressive reign of Queen Bee Regina, and she blows off what should be her favorite activity ever, to chase down a different objective entirely. Next, our characters dedicate their effort to a specified goal, and this is always narrower in scope than what the third act will demand. Katie infiltrates the plastics, her mind on gathering intel, and recalls what she knows of brutal savannah politics to navigate this new scenario. Then she beholds Regina's casual ruthlessness firsthand. Then we run through a brief checklist of the main story elements that we can expect during this journey. The superiority of the plastics, intel, secrets, and rumors about the student body, the plan to expose Regina and her underlings, and of course, the pitfalls of high school politics. Which brings us to the brief event that launches our characters into the wild jungle of the second act. It's also called the oh shit moment. Janice guilts Katie into taking down the plastics, no matter her moral reservations. Oh shit. We follow our characters as they discover the new rules and expectations of their journey. These are always distinct to the narrative at play. Katie learns and navigates the plastic social dynamic, as a slow burn forbidden attraction blossoms with Aaron. Then Katie attends her first high school social event, a costume party. Next, our characters showcase their ability to grow and progress, and this is typically an external or physical beat rather than internal or emotional. Regina's betrayal destroys any doubt Katie had about her character. The trio unites behind an actionable plan, and Katie begins to explore and play the plastic games. Then our characters face legitimate and understandable reasons to deviate from their stated convictions, agendas, or desires. The trio faces many backfires in their quest to drag down Regina, who provides a shady version of Janice's backstory, undermining Katie's confidence in the overall situation, and she's reminded how casually fake Regina has always been. We endure the anxiety as our characters face an escalation of problems and complications. Katie pivots her attention to Gretchen to rattle the group, who reveals a wealth of secrets from Regina's past. Then it's confirmed just how close Janice used to be with the plastics, and Regina pushes Gretchen off kilter at the worst possible time. Next, our characters evolve internally or emotionally, and they do this by using elements of the plot or story, which they've gathered and learned so far. Katie saves the dance, for the plastics as much as herself, while Gretchen cracks under the emotional weight of Regina's expectations, and she confesses to the info that Katie needs, that Aaron doesn't know that Regina is cheating. Then our journey-weary characters come to terms with their ongoing struggles. Moments and elements of the first act are used to gauge their progress. The Act 1 plan to deconstruct Regina finally commences, while Katie's Act 1 outsider persona has fully evolved into a plastic. Her Act 1 crush now feels closer at hand than ever, and she sacrifices her Act 1 love of math to inch closer to Aaron, which results in a brief event that strikes at our protagonist's core conflict. Katie blurts out Regina's betrayal instead of going through the proper channels and antics that high school politicking demands, and there's no turning back from here. We receive needed answers alongside our characters, which relate to both their external journeys and their internal conflicts. Katie's plastic shenanigans have not rewarded her with Aaron, while the trio ramps up their efforts to bring down Regina. Next, our characters complete their narrow scope objective, yet discover that their victory is shallow or altogether meaningless and must complete a wider scope objective. Miss Norbury calls out Katie's grift, but she won't pull it back. She finally has dirt to add to the burn book, but it's at the cost of Miss Norbury's trust. Then she wields the plastic games against them, but damages her standing among the trio. Next, our characters face an existential conflict that wounds their sense of self and identity or their physical journey. Katie usurps Regina from the throne, destabilizing them both even further. Then she adopts the persona of the manipulative Queen Bee with shocking ease, and throws a party when her parents are gone. Classic high schooler move. We celebrate with our protagonist in light of an undeniable win, which is always related to the rebirth in some way. Aaron arrives at the party with his mind on Katie, and fortunately avoids Regina at every turn, until eventually finding Katie while creeping in her bedroom. Next, our characters suffer a grand loss. This is always connected to their newfound inability to quit their journey. Katie drunkenly sabotages herself as self-indulgent crap floods from her mouth. The besties reject her and return to their power duo origins. Then Regina uncovers the depth and savagery of Katie's sabotage. Then we experience a thematic freefall, as the main story elements are ramped up and thrown into upheaval. Regina tables the turns with the Book of Burns to frame Katie and the plastics, then litters the school with all the dirt she collected and curated over the years, which forces us into a brief event that robs our protagonist of seemingly any hope of success. Class is out, and all the secrets and rumors are on display for the whole school. We watch our characters realize that they cannot return to their first act selves, and they turn to face the wider scope objective. Arguments explode into violence as tempers rise, and all-out pandemonium breaks out as the social structure breaks down. Then, just the girls are held in the gym for, reconditioning? Okay. Next, our characters use the major swings of the story and their personal journeys to move towards the climax. The prevalence of toxic behavior in high school politics is on full display, and so is the constant and harmful degradation of women in society, from within as well as without, which is somewhat repaired with confessions and a trust fall. Then the final confrontation plays out between our protagonist and characters against the antagonistic force. Janice divulges the plan aloud to destroy Regina in 3 easy steps. Regina is unexpectedly hurt by the culmination of all these consequences. Then Katie takes full responsibility of the burn book upon her outcast shoulders and relegates herself to the social suicide of the math club. which culminates in a brief moment where our protagonist finally, and oftentimes metaphorically, overcomes their place in the Act 1 status quo. Katie looks beyond school politics and short-term schemes to claim the victory for the math club, and a personal victory of her own as she re-embraces her old self. We experience the direct aftermath of the climax. This can give our characters a moment to reflect on the situation, or else wind down the action with a coda. The math club celebrates the state championship. Then Katie is crowned queen under very dubious context, and she gives a life-affirming speech about acceptance of the self and others. Next, we touch base with additional characters, typically to contrast them against the new status quo. The ensemble cast reflect happily on the morally satisfying conclusion to their school year, and we're given a highlight reel peek at their new selves the following year. Then we conclude with a tight focus on our protagonist, specifically to contrast them against how we met them at the opening. Katie enjoys a joyful life with her dorky friends, as comfortable in suburban America as she was in the wilds of Africa. And there you have it. Mark Waters' 2004 cult comedy favorite Mean Girls adheres perfectly to the 29-point story structure every step of the way. And despite its awkward moments of 2000 humor, it weaves a relevant story all these years later. Now let's move on from an all-star comedian collab to an all-star superhero collab with our deep dive into the conclusion of Marvel's Phase 1 era. Join me next time for Joss Whedon's 2012 epic Marvel crossover event, The Avengers. As always, thank you so much for your time. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this content, and consider commenting on and sharing this video to help the channel find its audience. Take care of yourselves out there, and I'll talk at you next time.